Let's get right into it. Is your personality your destiny? I mean, we all talk about our personality like it's this fixed thing, right? Like it's a blueprint for who we are. But is it really? Is the way you think and act just locked in for life? Or can you actually have a say in the person you become? So today we're going to dig into what personality really is, how scientists even think about it, and the big one, are you actually stuck with the one you've got? I think the answer is going to surprise you.
Okay, so before we can even get into changing our personality, we got to be on the same page about what it even means. Let's build this from the ground up.
Now, check out those keywords, relatively stable and enduring. See, psychologists see personality as the patterns that make you, well, you. It's what makes you unique and, maybe more importantly, kind of predictable. It's why your friends know exactly how you'll react to a surprise party. That stability is how we build relationships. And this is a super important difference to get. A trait is kind of like your default setting. You know, she's a competitive person, in general. But a state, that's just a temporary thing. It's situational. She's feeling competitive today. When we talk about personality, we're really talking about those long-term traits.
So how do we talk about all these traits without it getting totally confusing? Well, psychologists needed a common language, and that led them to one of the most famous models in the entire field.
Instead of a million different words to describe people, most researchers have boiled it down to 5 main categories, or dimensions. And lucky for us, there's a super easy way to remember them. Just think of the word ocean.
Let's run through them real quick. O is for openness. That's all about how curious you are. C is conscientiousness. Think self-discipline, being organized. E is for extroversion. Do you get your energy from being around people? A is agreeableness, how cooperative or considerate you are. And N is neuroticism, which is really about emotional stability, or how likely you are to feel things like anxiety or anger. The key is we all fall somewhere on the spectrum for each of these 5.
All right, so we've got the big 5. That's it, right? Case closed? We're just a bundle of these 5 traits? Well, not so fast. The story is actually a whole lot bigger than that.
You know, if our traits were everything, we'd act the exact same way no matter where we were. But we don't, do we? I mean, think about it. Are you the same person in a quiet library as you are at a loud concert with your friends? Of course not. The world around us, our environment, plays a huge role. And this brings up 2 other massive ideas. First, there's social learning theory, which says we learn how to act by watching other people, especially our heroes. But the really big one, for what we're talking about, is the interactionist view. It basically says that who you are in any given moment is a mix of what's inside you and what's outside you. A social psychologist named Kurt Lewin summed this whole thing up with a really simple, but honestly brilliant little formula. You can think of it like the basic recipe for all human behavior. All it means is that our behavior is a function of the person, that's you, with all your unique traits, and the environment you happen to be in. You can't have one without the other. They're always dancing together, constantly shaping what you do. Okay, so let's take all this theory and put it to the test in a place where people talk about personality all the time, the world of elite sports. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? For every coach, for every scout. Is there some magic combination of the big 5 traits that just creates a champion? Are all the top athletes, I don't know, super extroverted and incredibly conscientious? I absolutely love this quote. What Robert Singer is saying here is that using a broad personality test to try and predict something so specific and complex, it's like trying to catch one tiny fish with a net big enough to catch a blue whale. The tool is just way too general for that specific job. And you know what? The research could not be clearer on this. There is no single perfect athlete personality. Success at that level is it's way too complicated. It's about skill, coaching, your team, your mindset, a million things besides just a personality score. But that doesn't mean traits are totally useless. Nope. While they might not predict who's going to win the championship, they can give us clues about our general habits. For instance, studies show that people who are higher in conscientiousness and extroversion, well, they're more likely to actually stick with their workout routine, and folks higher in neuroticism are less likely. It kind of makes sense, right? Self-discipline helps you get to the gym, and being sociable might make you enjoy it more. Which brings us full circle, right back to that huge question we started with. We know personality is a mix of our stable traits and the situation we're in. But can we intentionally change those stable parts? Can we really, truly change? If our destiny really isn't written in stone by our personality traits, Does that mean we're the ones holding the pen? Can someone who's super shy actually become more outgoing? Can a chaotic, disorganized person become more disciplined?
Well, according to some really cool research, the answer is a big, loud yes. One study followed people for 15 weeks, and what they found was that personality isn't just something that happens to you, it's something you can do.
So, how'd they do it? It turns out there's a simple 3-step pattern. First, you just have to decide what trait you want to work on. Second, you start accepting challenges that push you in that direction. But here's the absolute key, the secret sauce. Just saying yes to the challenge isn't enough. The only people whose personalities actually changed over time were the ones who completed the challenges.
And that, right there, is the heart of it all. Changing your personality isn't about wishing you were different. It's not about wanting to be more outgoing. It's a direct result of your actions. Every time you act in that new way, you are literally rewiring your own patterns. You are the driver.
Which leaves us with just one last question for you to think about. If your personality isn't your destiny, if it's just a reflection of what you do over and over again, then the power is completely in your hands. So, what challenge are you going to take on first?